This is the Anna Gale Lines podcast, where we equip you with the tools and insights to take charge of your life and thrive. And here is your host, life coach and author, Anna Gale Lines.
Welcome to the Anna Gale Lines podcast, where we explore ways to improve our everyday life. I'm your host, Anna Gale Lines, and today we're diving into a topic that affects us all: worry. Worry can be a constant companion, gnawing at our peace and stealing our joy. But what if I told you there was a way to break the worry habit? In today's episode, we'll uncover the reasons behind worry and explore practical strategies to manage it. So whether you're a seasoned worrier or just someone looking to reduce stress in your life, this episode is for you. Sit back, relax, and learn how to break free from the chains of worry. So let's get started. Confession time. I have been an avid worrier since I was a kid because I couldn't control what was going on in my environment. I couldn't control what would make my parents upset. I couldn't control my mother's sleepwalking. I couldn't control what was going on at school. I couldn't control what my peers did at school, my classmates. I couldn't control the fact that they didn't like me and I was an outsider and that I was the weird kid. I couldn't control any of this, so I would worry about everything. I would worry about getting in trouble. I would worry about the house getting robbed. I would worry about a parent dying. And that followed me into my adulthood. So every time I'd have a one-on-one with a manager, I would worry up until that date. I would worry up until the meeting. I would worry about interviews. I would worry that I would get in trouble. Fast forward to this week when somebody hacked my bank account. They did it about a week or so ago, and I didn't notice the charge, but it caused a payment that I had made to be returned. Now I started to worry because this was something major, and even though I was being paid the next day and I was able to pay it with the fees and the consequences for it being returned, I started to blame myself because how did I not catch this? And I started to worry about the consequences, and I started to have sleepless nights because I was worried about what was going to happen. And even though I was not the one who hacked my account, I still had never had anything like that happen before. And I was worried about being judged as a person who couldn't pay her bills. And that's why I decided that we needed to explore worry and learn how to break the worry habit. So why is it that people worry? People worry because of the fear of the unknown. They're afraid of what's going to happen in the future. They're afraid that they're going to be homeless. They're afraid that they're going to lose their job. They're afraid that they're not going to be able to pay their bills. And then they're worried about their health. So they're worried about health concerns. They're worried that they're going to get some incurable disease. They're going to get a chronic illness, or they're going to discover a lump in their breast, or they're going to have something happen. And they're not even concerned all the time just for their health, but the health of their family members. And then they're concerned about financial stress. They're concerned about money, job security, debt, and unexpected expenses. They're worried that somebody's going to hack their bank account. And then they're worried about their relationships, problems in personal relationships, whether it's family, friends, or romantic partners. And they're also worried about work or career pressures, job performance, job security, and career advancement. And they're worried about being accepted by other people. They have a fear of judgment or rejection, and they hold themselves to a high standard. So perfectionism is something they worry about, not being perfect, not being able to meet standards. They worry about what's happening in the world, natural disasters, political instability, and global health crisis. They're worried about their personal safety due to crime or accidents or threats. And they worry because of past experience. Traumatic and negative past experiences can leave a lasting impact, causing individuals to worry about repeating those experiences or dealing with their long-term effects, their consequences. But I find that all worry comes down to a lack of control. We can't control what happens in our environment. We can't control what happens to us, and that is why we worry. But worry is like being on a treadmill and getting nowhere. We do all this work and we extend all this effort, but we're getting nowhere. So what are reasons why people don't break the worry habit? One, they want to stay in their comfort zones because worrying can be habitual and it's their safe zone. If they worry about something and it turns out right, they think that the worrying caused that thing to turn out right. It provides a sense of predictability, even if it's negative. People cling to worry because it's what they know. They believe they have some control by worrying. Some individuals believe that worrying helps them control situations and prevents bad things from happening, even though it's often an illusion of control. It's a mirage. They have a lack of awareness. Many people aren't aware of the extent of their worrying or its negative impact on their mental and physical health, making it difficult to address. Fear of change. Change can be daunting, and the idea of breaking a long-held habit can be intimidating. The fear of the unknown may keep people stuck in their worrying pattern. Negative thinking patterns. Persistent negative thinking patterns can reinforce the worry. Stressful environments, living in a high-stress environment or dealing with ongoing stressful situations can make it challenging to break free from the habit of worry. They lack coping skills. Without effective coping mechanisms or stress management techniques, people rely on worry as their primary way of dealing with anxiety. Reinforcement from others. Sometimes social reinforcement can play a role. If people around them also worry a lot and reinforce their worries, it can be harder to break the habit. Mental health issues. Underlying mental health conditions such as generalized anxiety disorder or depression can make it difficult to break the cycle of worry without professional help. Perceived functionality. So some individuals may believe that their worrying serves a useful purpose, such as preparing them for the worst case scenario, and may not see a reason to stop. So what are some ways to break the worry habit? One is to practice mindfulness, meaning that we are in the moment. We're not thinking about the future and what could happen. We're not thinking about the mistakes that we made in the past, but we're staying right here in the present. What choices can we make in the present that is going to affect our future? Such as, what are we going to do with the fact that we've got returned payments? We're going to pay them. In the moment, we have to decide that we are going to rectify the situation. We're going to pay the bills. We're going to accept the consequences. We're going to accept the fees. We're going to accept what has happened, and we are going to fix it. We're going to be in the moment. We can't be thinking about what is going to happen in the future. What happens in the future, we're going to deal with it. We're going to deal with it in that moment. We can't worry about the past because we can't do anything about it. Unless you've got a time machine, you can't do anything about it. We can't worry about the past. We can't worry about the future. We can only worry about what it is that we can do at this moment. So what are you going to do to change your situation at this moment? What are you going to do to change the negative things that are happening in your life at this moment? How are you going to take back control of your life? How are you going to take back control of what is happening? But we have to be staying in the moment and make our decisions in that moment. We can't make decisions about the future or the past. We have to make decisions about this moment. And then we can exercise regularly because physical exercise can reduce our stress hormones and increase our endorphins, helping us to alleviate worry. And I find when you take a walk, you get out of your environment, you get out of the four walls that you're in, and you put yourself someplace else, that you start to get answers. So you take a walk and you're staying in the moment and you're not thinking about the future or the past. And at that moment, those solutions could come to you. Your inner voice will start to tell you what it is that you need to do. But we have to stay quiet. And a lot of times that means getting out of our environment, taking a walk, going on a hike, going to the gym. But we have to get ourselves out of present environment in order to be able to get the solutions. And then we need to develop a worry journal. Write down those worries to externalize them and identify patterns or triggers. When we start to log our worries and what we're worried about, we can see what triggers us to worry. We can see those patterns and we can start to deal with them. But if we don't know what it is that we're worried about, we don't know where those patterns are and what triggers us, we are never going to be able to break the habit. And then we need to set aside some worry time. Allocate a specific time each day to worrying. So instead of worrying all day long, you set aside an appointment with yourself to worry. Oh, I am going to worry about that at 5 p.m. today, and between 5 and 5:15, that's when I get to worry about it. So if we allocate ourselves to only worrying about something at a certain period of time, a lot of times what happens is we get solutions before we get to that period of time. We fix it or we confront it before we get to the worrying. Because if we tell ourselves we're going to worry about this later, then our minds are freed up to think of the solution. Our minds and our intuition are freed up so that they could think about something else than to worry about that situation. And we need to focus on solutions. So instead of dwelling on our problems, we need to shift our focus to finding solutions. So let's say your situation is not as easy as just waiting for payday and paying off those bills that have been returned. Maybe the situation is actually that your business is not getting off the ground like you thought it was, and it's draining money from you. So what do? So instead of worrying about it, because worrying isn't going to help the situation, maybe you go to a business coach. Maybe you invite a consultant in. Maybe you start looking on YouTube for all these tips and tricks of how to market your business. Maybe you bring in experts to help you. Maybe you hire experts to help you. But we need to focus on the solution. We can't worry about it. Worrying's not going to do us any good. Like I said, it's like being on a treadmill and you're getting nowhere. So what needs to happen is we need to start focusing on what we can control, how we can solve the problem. What are those things that we can put in place that's going to solve the problem? And most of the time, the reason we can't come up with a solution is because we don't have all the facts. We are missing some piece of information. So what we have to do is get all the information so that we can make an educated decision. We can find the solution. And sometimes that means bringing in experts. Sometimes that means bringing in a coach or a consultant. Sometimes that means going to people who are smarter than us, that know more than we know about that situation. And then we need to stay busy. We need to engage in activities and hobbies to keep our minds occupied, because it's in that quiet that we're going to start to worry. It's when we're bored that we're going to start to worry. So we need to keep our minds engaged, whether that is reading or learning a new subject or learning a new language, or maybe it's volunteering at the homeless shelter or something of that nature. Being productive. We need to be productive, because worrying doesn't allow us to be productive. Worrying doesn't get us anywhere. We need to stay busy, because that is going to help us find the solution to what we need to fix the problem. And talking to somebody, sharing our worries with a trusted friend, family member, or therapist. So if we can't find the solution, sometimes we just need somebody to listen to us. We need to have a parent listen to our problems. Maybe they've got a solution. We need to have a trusted friend listen to our worries. We need to maybe go to a therapist because we're worrying too much and it's causing us anxiety and it's interfering with our daily life, and we start to drink too much and we start to have unhealthy habits due to it. And we need to challenge those negative thoughts. Question the validity of your worries and consider a more balanced perspective. Like we were talking about last week when I was saying that our thoughts are like trains that don't stop. They're going along the track, but we don't stop them to figure out what we are thinking about. We need to stop those trains. We need to start focusing on what we're actually thinking about. And we need to challenge those negative thoughts because those negative thoughts are causing us worry. And most of the time, that worry will never come to pass. Most of the time, 99% of the time, those worries don't come to pass. So we've spent all this time and energy worrying about things that are not going to happen. We need to challenge those negative thoughts and bring them into perspective. We need to shine a light on them. We need to reframe those negative thoughts into something positive. And we need to look at the patterns of our negative thinking and figure out how we're going to derail those trains. We need to practice gratitude. I say it in every episode. We need to keep a gratitude journal to focus on the positive aspects of our lives and what we do have instead of what we don't have. And we need to use visualization. We need to imagine positive outcomes instead of focusing on the worst case scenario. So what's the positive that could happen? Positive of the person breaking into my or hacking into my bank account is that now I am more vigilant about all the transactions that are happening in my bank account. Now I can take control of my finances because I am watching what's happening in my bank account and I am watching where my money is going and where every dollar bill is going. I can visualize myself being a success. I can visualize and take control of what's happening in my life because I have a vision of what I want to happen, what outcomes I want to my life. So what is it that you want in your life? What do you want your life to look like a year from now? Do you want to be in this negative cycle a year from now? If you don't, then you need to be visualizing positive things. Visualize what you do want, what you want to be doing, who you want to be doing it with, where you want to live. And visualize a new life for yourself and start taking action towards that new life. But if you don't have the vision, if you can't see yourself doing it, then you're never going to get to that place. It's going to be the same cycle over and over and over again. And we need to engage in creative activities. We need to channel our energy into creative outlets like art and music and writing. We need to focus on something positive. So instead of worrying, every time you worry, do something creative. And so then you can produce a painting, or you can produce a novel, or you can practice your music, or you can write a song, or you can do something creative. Channel that worry into a creative activity. And then we are going to fail. We are going to have moments where we worry and we're not able to catch it, and because we're tired or too much is going on and we're overwhelmed. And we have to forgive ourselves. We have to get up and try again. We've got to be kind to ourselves and make sure that we are taking care of ourselves and that we're forgiving ourselves and we're being kind, because it doesn't help us to belittle ourselves while we're worrying, because that's only going to perpetuate that negative cycle. And then we need to seek professional help if we need to. So if the worrying to cause you not to be able to do your daily activities, it starts to cause you not to be able to go to work, it starts interfering with your home life, it starts interfering with you taking care of your children, then we need to seek professional help. And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing, because life is a constant struggle. Life is going to throw hard things at us, and we have to learn how to make positives out of negatives, and sometimes we need help doing that. So that brings us to the end of today's episode on breaking the worry habit. We hope you found the strategies and insights helpful in your journey towards a more peaceful and worry-free life. Remember, breaking the worry habit is the process, and it's okay to take it one step at a time. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the Anna Gale Lines podcast, and don't forget to follow us on social media for more tips and updates. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover in future episodes, go ahead and shoot us a message on AnnaGaleLines.com. It's AnnaGailLynes.com. We love hearing from our listeners, and we're here to support you. So thank you for tuning in, and until next time, take care and keep striving for a life filled with calm and clarity.